Good evening, and in response to all the viewers' complaints that last week's show unfairly subjected Ian Duncan-Smith and Tony Blair to ridicule, we've been asked to make it absolutely clear by the BBC that Charles Kennedy is also a complete waste of space. In the news this week, thanks to new government guidelines, nursery school children are now fully briefed on what to do in the event of a poison gas attack. On a stopover in Rome, George Bush's collection of rare baseball cards fails to impress. And at Biggin Hill, there are suspicions that the new flying instructor has lied on his CV. On Ian Hislop's team is a former editor of The Express who's in favour of legalising cannabis but fiercely opposed to the bombing of Afghanistan, presumably because of what it's doing to next year's crop, Rosie Boycott. And with Paul Merton tonight is the ex-Blue Peter presenter who's perhaps the only man in England who welcomes getting suspicious white powder in the post, Richard Bacon. Round one is just that. Ian and Rosie, your always amusing topic.
It's Jerry Adams, and he's saying, what are those?
They're not mine.
That's David Trimble, the First Minister. And this is the peace process. Look at it.
So Trimble's been re-elected.
Yes,
obviously.
he failed. Mr Trimble was meant to come back and be First Minister, and then two members of his own party said no. They're very good at that in Northern Ireland.
One woman, one man.
Was that a Northern Ireland accent we've only heard?
No!
No, I thought it was, sorry.
No. Some people swapped parties. Some nice people in the Alliance Party said that they were unionists for the time being, if it meant Mr Trimble could come back in, so he came back in.
It's nice to see them fighting without weapons, though.
Yeah, it's an improvement.
Yeah.
They're pushing each other now.
Yeah. Soon they'll have to decommission handbags.
And who
Fists put beyond use.
And who was it that persuaded these people to defect originally?
Which, the ones from the Alliance? Well, Mr Trimble, Mr Adams, probably, the whole lot of them,
Mr.
really.
Blair.
Mr Blair,
He
you
was
know, our
involved.
great leader in there, working things out.
Are you saying that Blair rang up from the plane to wherever he was going and solved the Irish crisis as well as everything else?
Well, that's what he'd like you to believe.
He's fantastic.
That was just shortly before discovering a cure for all known diseases. Which I think he did. His pronouncement was that it shows politics can work.
Yeah.
But not for the Taliban, can it? No talking for them.
Well, when we find them, we can talk to them, maybe.
You can't compare bearded terrorists, Rosie. It's a completely different...
Completely different beard. I think.
different sort of beard.
And who are the now rather unlikely bedfellows that this has thrown together?
Lulu. And Alex Ferguson.
No, Ian Paisley and the Sinn Féin are now both wanting fresh elections. Same
They're both
thing.
committed to extremism.
There's something else that links Paisley with Jerry Adams. They both have sons with the same name as them.
Really? How selfless.
Extraordinary, isn't it?
What is the name?
The name is Ian in Ian's case and Jerry in Jerry's case.
Well, I didn't think that Jerry Adams had named his son Ian Paisley.
That would be a genuine gesture in the peace process.
The fracas at Stormont started when David Trimble's victory address was drowned out by shouting from Ian Paisley, who was at home ordering a pizza. The events followed the long-awaited start of the decommissioning process, where terrorists finally placed a substantial amount of Semtex beyond use by putting it in the boot of a car in Birmingham. Paul and Richard, order.
Yes, this is the House of Commons. I think this will probably... the Glasgow.
Typist.
Woman typing a long time ago.
Black and white film. The Speaker, what's the Speaker called?
Michael Martin.
He got in trouble this week, didn't he? Or didn't he? He
Didn't like his secretary.
Yeah, she was too posh, apparently.
Well, that's the unofficial explanation, that she was too posh.
He said she didn't give him enough respect.
She called him Mr. Martin instead of Mr. Speaker.
At least you didn't call him Gorbals Mick.
Yes, well, that was part of the problem, the difference in their backgrounds, apparently.
Isn't this bogus anyway? Because Michael Martin said it's because I'm from Glasgow, everyone hates me. And the truth being, they don't like Michael Martin because they just don't like him.
What school was this woman at, Charlotte Every?
Probably, what's it called? Rowntrees? Something like that.
Rodine.
That's the one.
How like Rowntrees is it?
You got it straight away.
No, she wasn't. She was at St Mary's Wantage.
St Mary's Wantage, yeah. I didn't
Yes.
think she was at Rodine.
No.
She'd have been my vintage. We used to dance against Rodine.
You used to dance against them?
Yeah, away fixtures mostly.
Right.
Girls one side, boys the other.
I see. And who else went to this school?
Anne Widdicombe.
Antonia Fraser,
Cilla Black.
Marina Warner,
Could go on for a while, couldn't
Anita
it?
Harris.
It's not Anita Harris. Good guess.
Rolf Harris.
Sandy Shaw.
Bomber Harris.
Bad guess. Betsy Duncan Smith, wife to Ian Duncan Smith.
One of the two wives.
Must keep her very busy.
Why was that fourth picture in there of the black and white couple?
That was an illustration of someone being sacked. Of course, you weren't sacked, were you, Rosie? You were...
We parted company.
Yes, with Richard Desmond. What was it, a personality clash, or...?
Yeah, personality clash.
OK.
I noticed I haven't been invited to his 50th birthday party, that I keep reading about. You?
No, I haven't. No, but then we've never met, so...
Well, I don't think that...
Yes, he's been very rude about you. Yeah. Have you been rude about him back?
Not yet.
Right, why is that?
Is that because of
Because,
this confidentiality agreement?
It is. But one day it will be lifted.
So how long before the gagging order is lifted?
About 5.5 months.
Really? So next series, then?
But you've done your fair of sacking, haven't you? You've
Yeah.
sacking.
Yeah.
Didn't you sack Will Self?
Well, it depends how you look at that, you know. Did I sack Will Self? Will Self then refused to go on writing a column for us, but I wouldn't have had him writing a column because he'd given me a big pack of lies.
But there are others as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Someone who... James Hughes Onslow, who planted fish fingers in your bathroom.
But yeah, that was really nasty. I was selling my house. He posed as Mr. Barnes. He got into my house. He planted fish fingers in the panel behind my bath. About a week later, lo and behold, there is this awful smell. Now, he was not the only person who's done this. This is obviously a common form of revenge. And about a month went by, and then I got a call from a diary on another newspaper. And the guy said, "Have you had a funny smell?" And that's how it all came out, because he couldn't resist.
He was so keen
Yeah.
that this story should come out that he rang up himself.
Yeah.
But how are the fish fingers when they're released back, into the wild? Did you ever sack a fish finger and ended up with a journalist hidden under your bath?
So, Richard, how did you find out about your sacking?
Basically, it was Billy Peter's 40th birthday. Because I came out at this do, and there was people like Anthea Turner there, and Val Singleton and John Noakes, and they were only taking pictures of me. And I thought, wow, you know,
This could be the highlight of my career.
yes, and
As indeed it was.
in many ways it was. Yeah. And so, you know, I eventually found out, that News of the World were running a story on me, and then what happened? Well, it was a bit like being dishonourably discharged from the police. I had my badge revoked.
And did you watch the apology on TV?
Lorraine Hegarty. Well, she was
Yes.
head of Children's BBC then, and now she's risen to be head of this channel, in fact.
So watch yourself.
Good evening to you. And I thought it was a terrific speech.
Yes, it is the controversial sacking of the secretary because she was too posh by Commons Speaker Michael Martin, who was so poor as a child that his parents couldn't afford to give him a surname. According to insiders, Michael Martin's thick Glasgow accent did lead to misunderstandings between him and his secretary. When he told her he'd been a sheet metal worker, she replied, "I'm not surprised, you're a sheet speaker as well." So, at the end of that round, like item 174 in the IKEA catalogue, it's a draw, both teams having 2 points. Round 2 is where we attempt to make the hunt for Osama bin Laden more understandable for any Big Breakfast viewers watching, as we combine the worlds of game shows and international terror in our knockabout quiz Through the Cave Hole.
Good.
Yes. According to the Mail on Sunday, US military has now narrowed bin Laden's whereabouts down to one of 5 caves. So the question is, in which cave is the now dusty bin Laden? Paul, you have a 1 in 5 chance.
Number 4, please, Sue.
OK. You say number 4?
Well, that's not him, is it?
No. No, that's not. That's not bin Laden at all. Sadly, that's Michael Portillo.
So Michael Portillo lives in a cave near Osama bin Laden.
Shouldn't take the game too literally, Paul. What has Michael Portillo's contribution been this week to the hunt for Osama?
He's been testing weapons.
He has?
Weapons that the army have been issued with to see whether they're up to scratch, whether the rifles work properly.
And who's he been testing it for?
The
Daily Mail.
Daily Mail.
He said of the SA-80 rifle, it seems incredible such a fearsome weapon can be so gentle on the user. He did. The word rifle, he says, seems inadequate.
Yes, but if you put a T in front of it, it seems silly.
Yes, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
There was another bit of army equipment this week, in fact, that was found to be hopeless. The army radios.
Yeah, they didn't work last time either.
Yeah,
people had to take mobile phones in.
One army officer said, if we had to go to war this year or next, there'd be a serious problem. There was a rather unusual weapon revealed this week.
Oh, I saw this. This was a cat. It basically had a microphone strapped to its collar, and it was supposed to go and listen to Russian spies. And they would say to the cat, go over there, ignore the other dogs, ignore the other cats, and go and listen to them. And then when they put it out the van, it got run over.
See, what I'd have done, you see...
Cost 10 million quid.
Yeah, well, you know, cats are expensive.
Worth it.
See, what I would have done, you see, if you got that technology there, you sort of in the days of the Cold War, I'd have sort of pretended the cat could talk. Hello, Mr. Khrushchev. Just to send him nothing.
You laugh, but how do you think they caught Blofeld?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Listening.
Yeah.
I was wondering where the rest of the money went. Spent £10 million. Once you put the microphone and the batteries on, that probably costs you, I don't know, 70 quid.
Yeah.
What do you do with the rest?
It's the new identity.
This is, yes, Michael Portillo, who, for this week's Mail on Sunday, road tested the British Army's new improved SA-80 rifle. Portillo was extremely impressed with the rifle, saying it can fire a whole magazine in less than 3 seconds. Even quicker than you, Rosie. Richard, your chance to go bin Laden or bust, so pick a cave.
OK, number 1.
You say number 1?
It's the Archbishop of Canterbury, isn't it?
It is, yes, you got that much. And what's he been up to?
Oh, yes, he appeared on the
Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera, yes.
The one that all our lot now appear on. It's almost as popular as your show, really.
Who are you looking at, me or Richard?
Yeah.
Yes, he did. And what was historic about Archbishop Carey appearing on Al Jazeera TV?
There were a lot of people watching.
Even more than that, it's the first Christian clergyman ever to appear. If you don't count Tony Blair.
They've had a lot. They've had a lot first. They've had Tony Blair, and now they've had him. I mean, they can't know their luck in terms of being able to get people for their chat shows.
And what white powder problems have there been this week, Richard?
Is it anthrax again?
Yes, it's a new scheme that the British government have introduced. They sent a dummy letter through the post with dummy anthrax in it.
Did anyone notice?
No.
Where did they send it?
They sent it second class?
An anthrax scare was brought to an abrupt end when a fearless postal worker stuck his finger in some brown powder, tasted it and said it was gravy browning. Unfortunately, the joke's on him as he's now got BSE. Rosie, your chance to play Hunt the Cave.
3.
3, you say. Cave number 3.
The two best friends. Mm-hmm. Well, they've had a very nice week, really. Blair's been on the Concorde. He took his own plane all the way to Washington and back for dinner.
No, he took the Concorde there, but he took a jumbo back, apparently, because it's too quick. If you come back, it doesn't allow you any time to sleep.
And also, there's a severe danger of meeting yourself at Heathrow.
So what did Bush and Blair agree on this week? What have they been
They're going to stand
about?
shoulder to shoulder. Already they've broken their word, look.
Earlier in the week, Bush had been getting everyone hysterical by saying we now have a nuclear threat. I mean, every time people wobble about the war, they raise the stakes. More anthrax, more bombs, nuclear stuff coming. So they would all get really serious and say we approve of them.
But what has Blair offered Bush? How's he helping him out?
Dinner?
Dinner, troops.
Even more than that. He's actually offered him the dome.
Well, that's the dome to go over the
What,
World
to
Trade
bomb it?
Center. No.
To cover Ground Zero,
Ground Zero.
apparently.
But he didn't say yes, though, did he?
No, they haven't. No, it's just a
So much for
suggestion. It's
Bush
just an
being
offer.
stupid. He didn't want the dome.
It is Prime Minister Blair and President Bush who met up in Washington on Wednesday. Amid concerns that Ground Zero is attracting sightseers, Mr Blair suggested this week that the Millennium Dome should be moved to New York in order to conceal the disaster and keep people away. Well, it worked in Greenwich. President Bush made a special speech this week by satellite to the people of Poland, presumably to reassure them after it was announced that 4,000 German troops had just been mobilised. And finally, Ian, your chance to win a round.
5.
5, you say? It is. Congratulations. So you found him. A whole point to you. Well done. What has he been doing in terms of contribution to the war this week?
He's been threatening nuclear war. He said it's everyone's duty to die. The whole Muslim world has to rise up in a jihad and murder everybody.
Yes.
It's sort of fairly run-of-the-mill stuff.
But where does it stem from, his hatred for the West, allegedly, according to certain papers?
The Americans being in Saudi Arabia.
Even more extraordinary, that was a liaison with a Chicago woman who mocked his manhood.
Really?
According to the News of the World at the weekend, he has got tiny genitalia, I was reading. With small sexual organs.
Is this one of those reliable stories?
Apparently so. But where did he appear on November the 5th? Osama?
Down in Lewis.
Yes, we can have a look at him. Here he is in Sussex on bonfire night.
It's amazing, that, isn't it?
He's grown, hasn't he? Why is he sitting on a toilet?
So that they could put the sign underneath Bindaloo. In Sussex, the famous Lewis bonfire night, it's a tradition to burn a topical hate figure. Last year it was Anthea Turner. This year Osama bin Laden was unveiled to a chorus of boos from those who wanted to burn Anthea Turner again. Which scattergun approach means at the end of this quest it's Ian and Rosie who are virtually home and dry, leading as they do 7-6. And so to the inaudible cheer that greets our third odd one out round, one per team, Paul and Richard. Your fictional figures are Harry Potter, Winnie the Pooh, Britney Spears and Paul McCartney.
Okay.
Is it about animation?
Might be.
Because Paul McCartney, of course, was animated in The Yellow Submarine, wasn't he? He was one of the Beatles.
Very good.
Winnie the Pooh, as we know, has been animated by Disney. Harry Potter, I presume there hasn't been a Harry Potter cartoon series yet, so Britney Spears must have been animated, but there must be a Britney Spears show. So Harry Potter's the odd one out, is the only one that's not been animated.
Is the wrong answer.
It was good, though, wasn't it?
Could it be that only one of them isn't a virgin?
Yeah.
And which one would that be then,
Winnie
Richard?
the Pooh?
Yeah.
Him and Tigger?
Right. Are you suggesting that
What about
Britney
Harry
isn't?
Potter?
God, no wonder you got sacked from Blue Peter.
I'll give you some clues.
Or just
it's-
one will do.
All right. It's something to do with wings.
Oh, playing Quidditch. You fly to play Quidditch.
They all fly.
Oh, yes.
They all
They all
fly.
fly.
Winnie the Pooh with a balloon.
With a balloon.
Yeah, with a balloon.
Harry
Paul
Potter.
McCartney wings the band. Harry Potter plays Quidditch.
And
so
Britney Spears
Britney's
has
the odd
appeared
one
as an
out.
angel.
The answer is that they've all received messages from owls, with the exception of Britney Spears.
I see, yeah.
Because Paul claimed that Linda had come back to him in the guise of an owl.
Yes, the owl apparently said, "Twit woo her." Hedwig, of course, is the owl in Harry Potter, and he gives messages to Daniel Radcliffe, who plays Harry Potter. But what happened to Daniel Radcliffe after the shoot?
His
Harry
voice
Potter?
broke.
So was there a moment in the film where he goes, "I'm Harry Potter"?
I don't know, because I haven't seen the film. So, who was not at the premiere then?
I wasn't.
I wasn't.
No,
Yep.
none of us here.
I know this. EastEnders
Yes.
cast were allegedly banned, but apparently they wanted celebrities of a higher calibre and better class. Hence why they ended up with Nick Faldo.
Yes, and Richard and Judy.
And Fergie. And Jordan.
That's right. Yeah, and Jerry Hall. Not that we're bitter about not being
No, of
invited.
course
at all. No.
But they got Brooklyn Beckham without his parents. Obviously, it's quite an intelligent film, I gather. But
What was the difference between how it was marketed over here and in the United States?
They changed the title, didn't they,
They
for
did.
the States?
Yeah, Sorcerer, wasn't it, I think?
Yes, Philosopher. It's called
Philosopher's Stone.
Harry Potter and Philosopher's Stone, but they didn't think that Americans might know what a philosopher was.
It's a bit long.
They changed it to Burger.
The answer is that they've all received messages from owls, with the exception of Britney Spears, who has nevertheless made it to the cover of Britain's top birdwatching magazine this month. There we are. To prove it. And somewhat surprisingly, there are tits on page 3, but not the sort that Sun readers would recognise. Paul McCartney claims that an owl told him to marry Heather Mills. According to the Daily Star, Macca said his children had come round to his forthcoming marriage, and he assured them they wouldn't lose their inheritance. Or should that read, after he assured them they wouldn't lose their inheritance? Ian and Rosie, your beauties and the beast are Yvonne Ridley, the Taliban, the Devil Monkey, and Rosie Boycott.
What about drugs, Rosie? Should we start there?
Start with drugs. Well, the monkey had cannabis. I supported cannabis.
Stuffed with cannabis, you were...
No, I don't want to say I was stuffed with cannabis, but I supported cannabis.
Had a toke or two.
In my time.
In your time.
But then how do we tie it up here? We don't know whether Yvonne Ridley smokes dope.
But they grow lots of drugs, don't they?
Well, they grow heroin. Then maybe they grow cannabis as well. Taliban get cannabis.
Maybe they do. Do you want me to give you a clue?
Well, yeah, if that's
Can I
all
take you
been
back to
completed.
Thailand in 1974?
Oh, I went to jail.
Right.
Fine. OK,
Right.
Yvonne
What did
Ridley
you
and
go
I...
to jail for?
Cannabis!
Right.
On the
Cannabis.
Cannabis. Cannabis, Thai sticks bought in the market in Laos and arrested on the train going down between Bangkok and Singapore.
Right.
So I was in jail, Yvonne's been in jail, and the monkey was in jail. So the Taliban are the odd ones out.
I think this is actually something to do with drug smuggling, and I think that Yvonne Ridley is the only one who hasn't smuggled drugs.
Is the right answer. Very good. Yes. So what exactly
God,
happened?
you think on a specialist subject of yourself, you might have got it right.
So how much did you have on you then?
About 6 Thai sticks, not very much.
And where was this hidden?
It was actually just in a kind of bag, you know. It wasn't
Marked
very well
cannabis.
hidden. It wasn't very well hidden.
I thought you used to hide dope in your knickers.
I never hid dope in my knickers.
In Saint-Tropez, you claimed to
Oh,
have...
that was a long time ago. Yeah. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't in my knickers. I mean, it wasn't even really attempted to be hid. It was very easy to find. It was pathetic.
Right, so it was in your knickers, but it wasn't really in...
No, that Saint-Tropez is not the same as Thailand.
That stuff about cannabis affecting your memory is clearly rubbish, isn't it?
Where would you hide dope, Angus?
Where do I? or
Where would you?
Would I? Right, OK. In my pocket, I guess.
You'd hide it in your pocket.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Put it in your wallet, nobody goes in there.
Because you hid it in your hand.
So the Devil Monkey, we can have a look at this. It was a Ghanaian Rastafarian witch doctor who was responsible for sending it over. So the answer is that they're all drug smugglers, except Yvonne Ridley, who smuggled herself into the newspapers via Afghanistan. At the time, Yvonne Ridley noted down her impressions of Afghanistan and its people. It feels like I've stepped back 10 centuries into a world I'd only ever read about in the Bible. Only 1,000 years out and the wrong religion, but not bad. When customs officials at Dover announced that their drugs division had impounded a 1-foot-tall devil monkey, a shocked Debbie McGee got straight on the phone to arrange bail. It's Class A nonsense. Means at the end of this binge, it's Ian and Rosie who are pedalling furiously. Behind us they are 8-7. And so to our final missing words round. A parade of headlines rent from their articles, including many or not from this week's guest publication, the indispensable Military Grocer. So eyes down, look in, on. Blunkett moves what?
Cautiously without his dog.
Stolen from Michael Jackson.
Yeah, could be.
No, moves goalposts.
With the times. Goalposts.
Is the answer. Next, Tony's what?
Reluctance to sanction runner bean missile.
Tony's never-ending journey.
It is from Military Grocer.
Bumper crop of mushrooms pleases the army. If that's right, I'd give you a kiss. If it's wrong, you give me a kiss.
Thank God. Get out of this one. No, thank you. Fine Foods Military Division is the answer. Next, one day
said,
Andreas Knox was luxuriating amongst 14 aisles of dry grocery product. The next day, what?
The next day was Tuesday.
It's a good guess.
The next day, you were sacked by the manager who said you will luxuriate in your own time, not mine. I'm not having you luxuriating around here. Go and get your bloody guards. Go on, out you go.
Next day,
You bloody school leavers. You're coming here luxuriating. How do you think I built this business up by luxuriating? Oh, hard graft, mate. Off you go. Go on, clear off, son. Don't come back.
Wouldn't really fit in there, would it? It was... he was down to 6, in fact, is the answer. Next, I can't work today. What?
I was sacked for luxuriating.
I got some white powder in the post.
My bum's falling off. Yeah.
Which is fair enough, in some respects. This is a survey of most common excuses, so yes, it is a common excuse. It's aliens ate my dog. That's the excuse that someone used. The excuse of period pains and time of the month is the most popular, works for 25% of females and a rather lower percentage of males. And lastly, Beeb denies what?
Beeb denies shorthand for BBC exists.
Beeb denies all stories.
Beeb denies Wogan revival. They were going to bring back Wogan's chat show. Though they were worried there might not be enough A-list guests to go around. We stopped worrying about that kind of thing years ago. All of which Weasley Hogwarts means that the end of tonight's Snitch. This week's Muggles are Ian and Rosie with 7. And this week's Wizards are Paul and Richard with 9. Well done. But before we reintroduce them into society, the vain appeal of our caption competition, Ian and Rosie, get this.
Spice Girls' desperate new image.
Either we find the fish fingers or we cut this dance routine.
Paul and Richards look like this.
Woman amazes crowd by pulling rosebush out of Prince Charles's nose.
It's a coronation I wanted.
Prince Charles saying, hello, and what are you doing with that girl?
Apparently he was left dazed and confused. It must have been quite a strike. One carnation across the face, leaves him dazed and confused.
Yeah, but if they say left him dazed and confused, that could equally read as no harm was done. The situation remains unchanged.
And I leave you with news that 7 hours after getting a mysterious call to a secret meeting with Tony Blair, the penny begins to drop. At her first ever book signing, there's panic as the author suddenly realises what's required of her. And at London Zoo, a climbing accident sets the rare breed mating programme back 6 months. Good night.
UK TV documentary gets a Brazilian perspective on the history of football Wednesday night at 10. And we're looking back to the not-so-distant past next again tonight. More 2001 for you in just a moment.